Okay. What did he say?
Wow, we've got a good crowd today. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate that. I don't know whether to thank Adam Owens for drawing a crowd, Empire Eats for drawing a crowd, or somebody else for drawing a crowd. No. I've been here when those tables have been empty. That's what I wanted to say. We've been taking pictures and the front tables are always empty. So if you've got a camera today and can take a picture of the speaker with people in front of him there, shoot that and send it to me, okay? Thank you so much. Well, it's a great day to be a Kiwanian. And kids need Kiwanis, and Kiwanis needs you. And we appreciate you being a part of this. Can we start with our defining statement, please? Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clay, are you here with us today? Who would like to lead a song? Johnny Mack, you cannot put your hand up. I'm sorry. In that case, everybody have a seat and hum one in your mind while you're sitting down, okay? Let me call on for our invocation when they are seated. We can be seated for this. Phil Kirk will do our, the Reverend Phil Kirk will. Okay. Turn it on and repeat that.
Testing, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, this is serious. This is the prayer. Okay, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we gather in this place as Kiwanians dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. Every child is a child of God, and every child deserves a good start in life. We are grateful to be difference makers in the lives of children. We pray for those who are dealing with health issues. We remember our member David Donald, whose wife Sharon died last night after a long illness. We pray that you will wrap your loving arms around David and comfort him during this time. We know there are some important basketball games involving the NC State women and men today and tomorrow. We know it is not helpful to pray for victory because there are fans on both sides asking for your help. So we will ask that the games be played fairly and that no one is injured. We're also grateful for our coaches and those at other schools who are teaching our young women and men valuable life lessons. And finally, we ask that you bless this food and all that have played a part in getting it from farm to the table. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Well, thank you for inserting that about the basketball teams. I heard an announcement a couple of weeks ago that they heard that because the basketball team was playing about the same time, the something else was going on. Anyway, they said, we're sorry about it. And said, well, it's a drug problem that we know somebody drugged you to be here today. So I'm sorry I even remembered that. Let me say, as a report on our catering process, Charlie Sawyer has done a great job. Charlie, stand up over there. You need a round of applause. Charlie has led that effort, and he's done a good job. We're down to the wire. Empire Eats is back this week for their second week. We're going to do a couple of things in the next week or two, and then we will decide who will be our permanent caterer. We want to get all the cards in. There are cards on your table. Please fill them out and leave them on your table so we can get an idea of what you think about the caterer today. Let me introduce our guest. Stacy Askew, you have a guest, or several guests.
Well, one of our guests is Adam, but we'll introduce him in a little bit. So we have Joyce Rivera. She is the customer service hotline manager at the North Carolina Education Lottery. We're happy to hear her. And that's the only guest.
Thank you for being with us today. And also, let me introduce Kevin, and I'm going to let you stand up and introduce yourself if you don't mind. Kevin called me on the phone and said he's interested in a civic club, and he had found the Kiwanis Club. He lives in Apex, and there's not a club out there. And I tell you, I'm glad you found us. We're glad you're here. We want you to be a member. You want to say anything?
This is Kevin Roberge. I got it right. He lives in Apex. He has had an extensive career working with children in many capacities, and he's a very creative individual. And he's got a wife and 2 sons. One son is at UNCW, and the other one was just accepted to MIT. So he will be attending there. So Kevin, we're happy to have you.
Kevin, we'll get you in early so you won't spend all that money before you can get here, okay? In terms of membership welfare, as you heard Phil say in the prayer, and I'm sorry to have to announce it, Kiwanian David Donald's wife died. We hope you will remember her in your prayers and remember David in your prayers. And that funeral, I believe, is going to be held, what, next week? Next Saturday, not tomorrow, but the following Saturday. We'd like to have as many Kiwanians as possible there. Are there any other membership welfare items that I need to announce?
I've got one, Buck.
Yeah.
Roger Honberrier, who's a member of our club, his wife had a heart attack and had a stent put in, so she's doing better, but we need to keep Mary Scott in our prayers.
Great. We appreciate that. Thank you. We'll remember it. Yes, sir.
Enough briefing on Charlie Willis and his wife, Jean. Laura and I went to visit them last Saturday. One of them is a facility for dementia, his wife, and she's doing okay. She's in good spirits. And then Charlie had been in Rex with a severe infection, and it took off all his toes on one foot. Poor circulation. So he goes into this facility, and then he's back in Rex. He's getting out of Rex today. I'm going to go see him tomorrow. But anyway, he's in good spirits, but just give you a briefing on him.
Well, please remember Charlie in your thoughts and prayers. If you get by to see him, that would really be great. Let's take a look at our April birthdays. We've got Hunter Bond on the 2nd, James Morgan on the 2nd, Joe Bryan on the 3rd, Hall Edwards on the 3rd, Tony McCullum on the 6th, John Miller on the 6th, and Patrick Yankee on the 6th. Happy birthday to all of them. Let's give them a round of applause. Let me also announce that our annual meeting is on Friday, May the 3rd, which is coming up. We are required to announce that the annual meeting is going to be held a month before the annual meeting, so that's why we're announcing it today. You'll hear about it more in the future, but this is the official announcement that our annual meeting will be Friday, May the 3rd, during our regular meeting. Anyone with perfect attendance, so we can recognize them for the years 22 and 23, that's from October 1 of 2022 through September the 31st of this past year. If you had perfect attendance in that time, we just want to make sure we get you. We've got a list of people that were here, but we want to make sure we got you. If you had perfect attendance, call our secretary and she will be happy to hear from you, Courtney. And Monday is a special day. Monday is this club's 104th birthday. That needs a round of applause. And in that regard, remember Change the Future campaign. Remember that on May 2nd, we're going to have a golf tournament at the Deuce Golf Club. And our March diaper drive, just in terms of checks and cash, produced over $1,428, and we can't get into the system yet to see what was given online. So people that gave online, we don't have that yet, but we know it's going to be substantial, so it's been a very successful diaper drive month. We do have one item that has not gone yet for the raffle. This was Scott Pius made this, and he actually gave it to Robert Cooper, and Robert Cooper donated it. So you've got the involvement of two Kiwanians on here. We're going to auction this off, so put your auction bids in. Well, let's do it live. Who'll give me a $40 bid, $40 and go? How about 40 and go? How about 40? Hey, I got 40, now 45. Now 50, I need 50, I got 45, now 50. I got 50, now 55. How about 55? I got $50, 55, now $60 bid. $60, 60, now 65, we do 65. 60, I need 65, sold at $60. Thank you so much, we appreciate it. And Nate, and Scott, thank you so much.
Robert Cooper and I do one better. There were 4 bidders. If those 4 people give $60 to Andy Perry, we'll make 4 more bowls.
Okay, you heard that. If any of you that were backup bidders want it, pay that amount, you get it too. Thank you so much, we appreciate it. And now for the introduction of our speaker today, let me call on our former president, Stacy Askew.
Thank you, Buck. So it is an honor and a privilege to be able to introduce our speaker today. I have only known him a short time. I met him around March, and he has a stellar resume. He is the communication manager at the North Carolina Education Lottery, but you may know him differently. Prior to joining the lottery, he was with WRAL. He had 20 years in the industry with over 15 years at WRAL. He was a investigative reporter and an anchor. Won many awards. I think many of you remember in 2018, the Hurricane Florence. I think he won an Emmy for that reporting story. He was much at risk with all the wind blowing around, and he had to stay anchored down. And then he also won another award, and you may know about this. It's the Edward Murrow's Award, and that is one that recognizes local talent and national talent, news stories that uphold the DT-DNA Code of Ethics, demonstrated technical expertise, and amplifies the importance of journalism. And so he won that award as well. I don't remember what year, Adam. What year was that? That was one of them. So he has a lot of other awards, but he can share more of those later. He is very talented, and we're so happy to have him at the North Carolina Education Lottery. He's very genuine, very kind. He has a way of getting our winners and people to talk to him, to tell him the inside story, so he can share their story with you, and then hopefully see lottery in a different, brighter way, what we do here in North Carolina. And I did ask him, because Mr. Kirk always likes to have a fun fact. So I asked Adam to please share a fun fact, or I could make one up. So I did a little investigative searching on my own. And so Adam is from Eastern North Carolina. And so when you're from Eastern North Carolina, the only news source you have is in Virginia. Weren't you involved with Wavy 10? Wavy for a while. And then I also heard something about sinking a boat on the river or the creek. Maybe Adam will share a little more about that. But he did tell me his fun fact was when the Rolling Stones came to Carter Finley Stadium, you'll never guess where he was that night. He was underneath the stage. So he'll have to tell you how he got underneath the stage and what it was like to be underneath the Rolling Stones. We do want to welcome him. Come on up, share with us. We're happy to have you. Adam Owens.
Stacy, that introduction was extremely kind, but it was all correct. So can't argue with that. As she just mentioned, I've been with the lottery as its communication manager for, just had my 1-year anniversary, which kind of surprised me a little bit. But still, no matter where I go, everyone remembers a little TV show I was on for 15 years in the area with WRAL. And it's so funny when you've been on TV in an area that long, you still run into people in the grocery store. I was in Wegmans recently, and a sweet lady walked up to me and said that she loved watching me every night and had caught me just the night before, and I was amazing. And then I'd been with the lottery a full year at that point. So you've been in people's lives so long that they don't realize you're not there. That plays to my advantage sometime. Hopefully next time I'm pulled over for a ticket, they'll remember that. I don't know. Anyway, with the lottery right now, and one of the reasons that I decided to make the shift is TV and TV news is as crazy as you might imagine it is, and the schedules and things like that still have a big heart for WRAL and the work that they do. They're pretty fantastic, have a lot of friends there, but wanted to get into something in a lifestyle where it was a little more family friendly, and I knew when I was going to be home and when I was going to be told I needed to, fly somewhere. It was quite chaotic in TV, so moved over to the lottery, and it's been an awesome opportunity to tell really incredible stories. And as a matter of fact, you forget how incredible the stories are. I had someone visit my office just yesterday, walk by, they were giving a tour, and the person was introducing what I do with the lottery, and the person asked me, well, what are you doing now? What does this mean? And I was like, well, the gentleman I work with just handed someone a check for $110,000. And they were like stunned. And I was like, oh, well, 2 hours before that, we handed a lady a check for $1 million. And they're from all over North Carolina. And when I saw this opportunity became available with the lottery to tell their stories, I mean, we were telling some sad stories at WRAL, and now I'm talking to people who just got their hands on $1 million, $5 million, $10 million. So it's been quite a difference. Now let's see if our technology holds up. I'll give you a little bit of the story that I have been telling since I've been with the lottery. We're not alone in having a lottery. I know as you travel around the country, you'll see that there's lotteries in state after state after state. All of those that are colored in there, all of them have lotteries. Total, we're talking about 45 different states across the country, 48 if you include jurisdictions like the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. One of the things that's very interesting about our lottery, we are a state agency, but we get to act a lot like a business. We're given a little more latitude than a lot of other agencies, say the DOT or other places. And that was another thing that drew me to the lottery, because we could be a little more nimble, and that's been extremely helpful in telling the lottery story for sure. I hope all of you are familiar with what you see here. These are the 3 categories of games that we have. That one on the top left, that one's pretty incredible right now. I think they just upped the jackpot on the Powerball. We're at 1.3 billion, which is a number that is just absolutely insane. The Mega Millions was just hit not too long ago. That one got really high up there. In the middle there, you see our draw games that we have in the state, and our scratch-offs are obviously very important. They've been extremely popular for over the years. And one of our newer offerings you may have heard of are digital instants. These are games that you can play on your phone. We are a $4.3 billion a year business. That is a number that when I first heard it, it was almost like that $1 billion Powerball jackpot. I was shocked to hear that the lottery is that popular in our state, but it certainly is. And does anybody want to guess how much money people in North Carolina spend on the lottery every day? Okay, 2? Actually, who was the gentleman who's up here? Do I hear 3? Do I hear? $11.9 million a day. I'm going to keep throwing, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but these numbers are somewhat new to me too, and that one got me as well. Pretty incredible. So here's how the sausage is made. A lot of people think that we do create these games that are hopefully fun. People want to play them. They want to be involved. But really what we're selling to people is the idea of the prizes. So we work really hard at structuring those prizes. We consider that our product. We then go out, it's my job and the job of the advertising and other folks in communication to let people know about the prizes and the cool games that we have. And if we're doing the first two right, the third takes care of itself, which is sales, we've been doing pretty well there, 4.3 billion a year business, like I was telling you. And this is the piece that we care the most about, though. It's what we can return to education from doing all this work. And you may notice something about this graph in the history of lottery sales, and that is it's up, 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 up from the very beginning. Super proud of that. So the question we get asked a lot is, where does the dollar go? And you see, you have to operate, if you're a car maker, you have to spend money on sheet metal to create the product. So 66%, the major piece of every dollar, so that people have a reason to play, goes to prizes. Right behind that, 23, is education. And just as proud as we are of that education bucket there, we're also proud about the retailers. We're spending a lot of money back into the economy through retailer commissions. And the smallest piece, and we're glad it's the smallest piece, is administrative and advertising. So again, as I was telling you, I get to tell the story of winners, how they came to win the money, but also what they plan to do with it. And my background is in television, so I've been making use of that. So here's the story of one of our winners.
Usually I cruise down the Caribbean. I love cruising. Since I've retired, I do at least 5 a year. I was supposed to be out of town on a cruise, but I had to cancel it because my vehicle broke down. I stopped at a convenience store that I always stop at, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take a chance, and I bought the tickets. I go running in the house, screaming to the top of my lungs, I just won $1 million on the scratch-off ticket. When I had to cancel my cruise, my sister, my daughter, they were like, it happened for a reason. You know, there's a reason why your vehicle broke down. First priority is paying off all my debt. I'm gonna get my vehicle fixed, and I'm going to purchase a new one. And the one thing I'm going to do is reschedule my cruise so now I can go on it.
Do you ever think you would win a big prize like that?
Oh, never. Never in a million years. It's like, yeah, it's never going to happen to me. It's never going to happen to me, but this is just proof that it did. It did.
That's what I do now, handing that check for $1 million to somebody. That is a lot different, in case you're unaware, from covering car crashes on the Beltline. Yeah, it's a little different kind of world. Player prizes, 7.8 million on average a day in prizes. Another thing that really surprised me when I joined the lottery, I thought every once in a while, maybe a couple times a month, we'd hand out one of those big checks. We handed out 4 yesterday. People are winning from all over the state all the time, and the stories are pretty incredible. As a matter of fact, here's another one.
72 Monte Carlo, old school Chevrolet with the big old 500 horsepower motor and all the goodies that goes with it. Everything underneath is brand new, and I've done all that work. And I'm getting to the point to where the body stuff I can't do.
Hey, congratulations! And then you see the 200,000 and just what do you like? What's going through your mind?
72 Monte Carlo. That's some of the money's going to go. He said, Papa, no, you didn't win $200,000, did you? I said, yes, sir, I did. This big, huge grin, reached over and grabbed me, bear hugged me, and said, I can't believe you did that. He said, we're blessed, Papa. I said, yep, you're right, 100%. 100%.
That was the first winner that I was ever a part of, actually. telling his story. He was great. He was fantastic. Moving on to education, all the profits from the lottery, every penny of profits goes to education in North Carolina. And in a little bit, you're going to see the difference that it's made. That's the other half of what I do. When the money goes out, it is put to really good use, like the school you see in this photo here. I get to visit with those people, and they're incredibly thankful. $2.8 million a day, every day, 365, go to education from the North Carolina Education Lottery. And this is another graph we're extremely proud of. As you see, this is earnings for the education in our state, and you see every year, as it did with the sales, of course, as you would imagine, up, 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 up. And we're really proud of this number. This is something we've been able to claim only recently. We passed the $1 billion mark in a single year for education in North Carolina. Education needs are really great. There's no doubt about that. We're all aware of that. But this is money that does not have to come out of property taxes and other taxes in a lot of locations around the state. So where does the money go? That's a lot of money. So where does it go? Well, you see the biggest slices right there in the middle, school construction. I visit a lot of new schools that just came out of the ground. I just came back from Cleveland County about 4 days ago. They just put 2 buildings up in that county using lottery funds. School staff is another big pot for us. We also send a lot of children to pre-K and school transportation scholarships and grants as well. You're looking at another place that our money goes. In addition to giving every single county in the state money to use for those different categories that I just mentioned, if there's a county that has particular need, maybe they have a low tax base, they can apply for massive grants, 40, 50, $60 million in one hit to build schools that they would otherwise not be able to build. I've visited some of those schools. This is in Harnett County, I do believe. This was one school that you'll hear them say for themselves that without the money from the lottery, the school would not exist, and it's a pretty incredible facility.
It'll all begin here. This by far is the nicest, biggest school that we have built in my time in Harnett County.
I am Principal Smith, and I'm honored to welcome you to Northwest Harnett Elementary School, home of the Wildcats, that we have watched being transformed into the state-of-the-art learning environment that you see today. 2 years ago, we broke ground for Northwest Harnett Elementary. 2, 1.
When the new school opens, I can't wait for these young students to walk through the front doors, to add new programs, the space to alleviate our overcrowding.
When we opened those doors, they've been waiting for this. We've been talking about it. So when they came in, they were just like, wow, it's just so colorful and vibrant. And I mean, it makes me want to go back to school.
The first week of school, they couldn't even walk in a straight line. It was, and some of them now are still like that, even a few weeks later.
I want to thank North Carolina Education Lottery. $10 million of this school was purchased because of lottery funds. And we appreciate the lottery. Schools are very expensive to build. Through the support of the lottery and through local government support, we were able to put them into a brand new building, something that they're so proud of.
We want them to be excited about coming to school, and that's what I see. And you don't realize a building can do that, but it really does make a difference. And it's just been an exciting beginning.
All right, now looking to another big number that we are very proud of as well. Money for education since 2006. That is the year that we started the lottery, is now at over $10 billion. That's another number that we just recently hit. Moving on, we were talking about retailers earlier. We'll move through these things. $293 million in sales commissions to retailers really does boost local economies. In the time that short time so far that I've been at the lottery, I've actually visited some of these retailers for stories, and I've had some mom and pop shops tell us that they would close the door. If they lost the lottery on a Monday, they'd have to close on a Tuesday. It's that important to their bottom line. Administration, again, I've been talking a lot of big numbers, right? We're proud that these numbers are as low as they are. 3.25% for salaries, benefits, everything it takes to keep the lottery running, and less than 1% was used for advertising in the last year. So getting more local, how does the lottery and the money we raise impact Wake County? This is Wake County alone in a single year, okay? $63.5 million came to Wake County from the lottery in a single year, fiscal year 23. 4 million of it went to pre-K. That sent nearly 700 children to preschool. We're talking about young people in this case who would not ordinarily be able to afford to go to a pre-K, where 700 of them were able to go to a pre-K in North Carolina because of lottery funding. School workers, 40 million. Those are the non-instructional, the people that keep the buildings running in our schools across the state. Scholarships and grants. This is all in Wake County alone. $5.1 million went to help people get to college, help to pay for their tuition. And school construction, we sent $11.7 million to the Wake County Board of Education for school construction. School transportation, which is a great need right now. There are times when kids are waiting for buses way too long, $2.4 million. Another reason why, as a former journalist, that I was so happy to join the North Carolina Education Lottery is because I've worked with a lot of organizations, both private and public, as a journalist, trying to get information. Where's following the money, you know, when you're doing your investigative reporting work. And you know, you start to realize the differences between folks who were very open about sharing things and maybe some organizations that are not so much. The information I just gave you from Wake County, how much money you received in a single year, where the money went, how much went to those places, that is all available on your phone. And that's the same for every county in North Carolina. If you go to our website, you can scroll down under our impact page. There you will find a drop-down menu, and there are 100 counties listed there. You click on that county, and very quickly you'll see exactly how much money you gave. You can go back in the past and see exactly where the money went as well, because as you might imagine, that's our #1 question in a lot of places that I go. You see all the counties listed there. We also care about our customers and the people who play the lottery as well. We have the top certification in the world for responsible gaming in North Carolina, and we were the youngest lottery to earn that classification. We also provide $1 million to the problem gambling program. That number has now been increased by 2 million since we brought on sports betting. That's made a lot of news that I'm sure you guys have probably heard about. And there's a number of other different ways that we reach people in different channels to remind them that it's important to play for fun, and if they need help, where to go for that. And if you ever go into one of these stores where you're filling out your ticket, you've probably seen some of this Play Smart badging as well. That's also part of what we're trying to do there. And that's my spiel. How about that? If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
You mentioned sports betting.
Yes.
Can you tell us, I know that hasn't been there long, but can you tell me how it's going, and do you have any numbers on that?
We have, man, one thing to know, and if you're in the general public, I imagine it feels like it's all one big heap, but the Lottery Commission was given the job of implementing sports betting, but it actually, in the actual office, we have a dividing line between traditional lottery, the things I've been showing you here, and sports betting. As a matter of fact, we brought in a team to focus mainly on that. However, in the communications department, when media is asking questions about either the lottery or sports betting, I still have to answer both. So it was extremely, coming up later this month, I believe on the 10th, we're gonna get the first full month numbers, but it went extremely well. As a matter of fact, there's some of the rough numbers suggest that we have either tied or we have one of the most successful sports betting launches. I think it's something to the tune of in the first 12 hours that folks had the opportunity to sports bet, it was in the tens of millions of dollars. Yeah, we expect that to trail off a little bit because there's the excitement of being able to do it for the first time, but we are also coming up on the tournament, so it may be a good month. Yeah.
Finish the rest of the story about you being under the stand at a Rolling Stones.
Oh, nobody wants to hear that.
I do.
No, the Rolling Stones, was anybody there, by the way? Oh, were you? Man, that was incredible, wasn't it? I didn't get to stay as long as you guys did. I was working for WRAL at the time, and whenever a big act comes to town, we always ask, hey, any way we can, can they spare a few moments for us? The Rolling Stones had no intention of sparing an interview for us or anything like that, but I did get a call back from their management team, and they said, you know what though? We will allow you to go inside. So I said, okay. And I had to meet at a certain entrance at a certain time and whatever. So I figured I'd, be in the nosebleeds and zoom in as close as we could to maybe get a little Mick Jagger. What they really did though, and the crowds were there early, they were having a really good time. And I was on the 11 o'clock news that night. So it was actually a news story, but they led me, came in the normal way everyone else did, but then they had a security detail with us. We kept walking and we were getting closer to the stage, closer and closer, until finally they pulled back a curtain. More security we had to go through, and we were under the stage, and the band is there and the whole 9 yards. And the interesting thing, at least with a production as large as theirs, it was amazing how it was like a city underneath that stage. Incredible. And then if you were there, you'll remember that Mick had this long walkway he could do his little thing on as he walked, as he was performing. You just saw the beginning and end of that. I don't know why I even moved at all. But when he would head down there, one of the guys who we had made friends with said, well, there's the walkway, then they want to make it so nobody can touch them. So there's about 10 feet, and then there's the first person that stands behind a gate. They let us get between the gate and the stage. So I should have brought it. Maybe I should include it in my slides, but I'm standing there with my own camera, and he's just looking right down into the camera. I mean, as close as we are right here. That was pretty great. Yeah. And that's the story. Yes, sir.
I assume you do withholding for all the amounts you pay out
Yes.
for income taxes.
Yes.
How do you go about determining the amount that you withhold and why?
It's just simply withholding taxes, using our rate. You can also, part of what affects how much you actually take home is whether or not you go with the lump sum, as you're probably aware, or whether you go with the annuity. But it's we're just taking out state and federal withholding. And occasionally, which can get interesting, is if you show up and you have a debt that the state has record of, they also like to borrow some money from you for that too. There's some interesting stories with that, maybe for another day. Yes, sir.
Is the sports betting pari-mutuel, meaning that depending on who bets what, all the money except the service fee is returned?
Yeah, pari-mutuel is going to come into play while we have launched sports betting on phones and devices, pari-mutuel will come into play. That's the style of betting often used with horse racing. And so we're still standing up that part of the legislation that okayed sports betting. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
To what extent do you have a mechanism to track the winnings, track the lives of those for which the winnings was a challenge they couldn't measure?
Tracking, I'm sorry?
For folks who don't know how to handle the assets they've earned.
Most stories, we'll check back in with folks occasionally, maybe to do a follow-up story. And in the time I've been there, just a year, there haven't been any stories where things have gone awry. We do occasionally have people that come in and that we'll ask them, hey, just out of curiosity, what do you plan on doing with the money? Well, I'm gonna buy a house, I'm gonna buy a boat, I'm gonna buy a car for me, my mama, my daddy, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna vacation to Europe for the whole family. And I'm like, wow, that's impressive. Well, here's your check for $100,000. Good luck on that list, Money doesn't go quite as far as, it did at one time. But there have been a couple cases. As a matter of fact, the one case where, there was a little bit of trouble on the back end for the person who won the money was I forget her name right away, but it was I wasn't at the lottery at the time. It was several years ago, but I actually was at WRAL covering her story. So she ran into a little bit of trouble. For the most part, you cannot be anonymous if you win. That's the first question everybody has, and I understand why you'd ask it. The reason you can't be is, I also think is a very good reason, and again, this is my kind of journalism side coming out, which is just, just being transparent, that there are actual people that win. There are actual people with names that live in towns in North Carolina. But occasionally it'll happen, but it's quite rare.
Of these national versus state programs, which benefits North Carolina education most? The Mega Millions programs or the state programs or the scratch-off programs? What's the better reason?
They all do. The best way to answer that is which of those categories is most popular, because that is the one that benefits the most. And that is scratch-offs. Before I joined the lottery, and this may be the case for a lot of you folks, I didn't play really at all unless we got a Powerball like we do now, just for fun and just to daydream for a little bit. And so I would do Powerball or Mega Millions. And when I joined the lottery, found out that it's the scratch-offs, the ones that have been around for forever and a day, that has been the bread and butter. But as you saw there, we now have a digital instance on your cell phone, and we're launched those not too terribly long ago, just a few months ago, but already the early numbers on those are that they are extremely popular. So it's the scratch-offs and it's the digital instance, it looks like, that are the big money makers that give the most to education. Yes, sir.
Does all the money go to public schools?
All of the profit. We have to put some of the money, we have retailers who are kind enough to.
Yes, you're not giving any to private schools.
There is a bucket, I believe it's in transportation, where they do help private schools so that those schools can get their children to school and make sure they can pull that off. It's not as easy for those smaller private schools, obviously, because they're not the size of an entire district. But the buckets that I went over of the money that we raise, those are almost exclusively for public schools in North Carolina. Yes.
Where do we go? Who's got the highest percentage of scratch-offs? What location?
As far as sales?
Winners.
Winners. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because we always get a lot of grief from folks who say, you know what, it seems like the winners are always coming from Raleigh and Charlotte. The larger number of winners, it's just a numbers thing, right? So the larger number of winners come from where people are most often playing. They're most often playing in the large population centers in the state, and so that's where a lot of those go. Yeah. The biggest number one selling retailer though is in do you remember it's near the coast? Calvert, thank you. I could not think of that. And it's you'll go there, you'll walk around the store, you'll wonder. I wonder why this is the number one store. You step out the front door and you see the South Carolina line right there. Yeah, they like our games. Even the South Carolinians like our games better than their own. Yeah.
Adam, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Hold on a second. We present a book to the library each week in memory of, not in memory of, but in appreciation of our guests. We're not going to kill you before you get out of here. In appreciation for our guests. If you'll sign that for us, we'll
absolutely
give it to them.
I certainly
Thank
will.
you so much for being with us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I did have one announcement that I forgot to make, and that has to do with the fourth Friday of this month. We need 4 volunteers to work at the Salvation Army Soup Kitchen. Have I got 4 volunteers out there to go? There's 1, there's 2. I need 2 more. 2 more volunteers. I got 3 now, 4. 4 volunteers. Okay, got 3. We'll find the 4th one between now and Friday. Thank you all so much for being here today. Have a great day. Enjoy the game.